You wish we could extend it, especially when the defense is getting you the ball the way you wanted to. And a lot of these guys, we just told them it was the first time a lot of them played together. 40 some new players and got a chance to sing the fight song. It's a win. I don't think we're all satisfied, but it's the first time we got to play. We got to dig into the film and see areas where we can have, where we can get improvement. But one is that complementary football. Trust me, I keep track of that the whole game. I'm saying when we get explosive on special teams, are we scoring after it? What are we doing after we created 4 turnovers? And when you don't score points after turnovers, it'll turn into a close game real quick. So those are areas of improvement. We're going to dig into the film. We're going to learn a lot about our guys. For a lot of them, it's first time under the lights, not at night, but just under the lights for Youngstown State University. But, there's some good things. I thought some of our special team units played really well. I thought defensively getting the ball back, we knew their quarterback could throw the football. We knew that, and he was going to throw it quick. It's hard to get pressure when they get it out within 3 seconds, and they made some plays and they fought back in. I give them credit. For us, we get back to work tomorrow and we get ready to move on to week 2. And I want to see drastic increases in how we play next week.
Given the success that they had in the passing game, how important were those 4 turnovers, especially some of them coming in very timely circumstances? Obviously, the interception there at the end, the interception right after halftime.
Yeah.
How important was that?
I mean, huge, and then we had opportunities in 2 minutes. We had 2 penalty flags. We didn't get lined up. We had some veteran guys didn't get lined up right. All of a sudden you're taking a first down away, which you could go down and drive before half and extend the lead. Instead, we get a penalty there on a first down. Now it's second down and long, and then we get a holding call. So a lot of mistakes that you cannot make, and that's one thing, the attention to detail we've been stressing. At times I saw it, defensively all the way up until we got that personal foul there in the fourth quarter. And then we had that targeting in the fourth quarter. I thought our kids were playing hard. They're keeping the ball in front of them, knowing they're going to dink the ball. We're able to stop their run. And, like I said, the game was close, and, we found a way to win there at the end.
The offense, obviously got off to a good start, scoring touchdowns on each of its first 3 possessions. What do you feel like kind of changed from there?
Just didn't get into any type of rhythm there in the second half. We took the ball and we kicked a field goal, and right there, those were the only points of the second half. So those are the things we got to go back. We still feel we have some great players on offense that we got to find ways to get the ball. It can't be, just Bo. We feel we got good receivers, good running backs. But again, for a lot of these guys, that receiver room, a lot of them, it's the first time they played with the Youngstown State uniform and, figuring each other out. And that's what gets me excited. And we're able to do it with a win. We've been part of losses where, that you maybe not played as well and it's a loss. We're going to learn from this, and go and try to work on being 2-0 next week.
In the past, you've spoken about how the greatest improvement you guys can make during the course of a season is from game 1 to 2.
Yeah.
What do you want to kind of see this year
I
going
mean,
forward?
there's no preseason for us. For the last 8 months, you go through spring ball and it's offense versus defense. You go all summer, it's offense versus defense. So you always get in that first game, and they may do some things you weren't quite ready for. And, maybe they gave us some looks on defense that we weren't quite ready for or seen on film. So those are always the things that can happen on game 1. But we found a way. The one thing our kids, and as a coach, you want to see them struggle. I want to see kids in this preseason. When I say preseason, our first 4 games, you want to see what's the character and makeup of your team going through tough times. How do you do that? I want to see how they handle success. We didn't handle maybe scoring 3 touchdowns and then we scored 3 points after that, that we got to get better. But seeing them come back and seeing us end the game with the football, to me, that tells a lot about our character. And, I love our kids. I still think we got a good football team, and we got to show tremendous improvement this week.
Question.
Yeah.
What do you try to look for in the transfer portal when you try to look at other colleges when you try to find other kids that are trying to transfer?
Yeah, you look at each position group. I think it's specific to position groups, and we haven't had to do much of it in the offensive line. We had to do a lot of it in the defensive line, and I thought those guys interiorly, held up. We brought 3 new guys in at defensive tackle, and I like getting those guys from Division II that have played a lot of football. Some of them are, from Cleveland, Ohio, might have played at Grand Valley, Thomas Jolly, or Cam Cunningham, who played at Fayetteville, but he's from Michigan. So for us, it's finding guys that can help us that have played a lot of football at that Division II level, and they're doing the same. They got scholarship players too. That number 23, somebody says dad's the GM of the Buffalo Bills or something like that, but they got him in the portal, and that was a big pickup for him. That young man made some great plays on some great coverage. So we're all doing quite the same thing, and you never know what you're going to get. They got 56 new players. We got 45 new players, so you can watch all the film from last year, but they're a new team, and we're a new team. So, like I said, we got the victory tonight. We're going to learn from it, dig into this film, and we're going to get back Saturday, and we're going to improve on, and make corrections to what we think we need to do for next week against Robert Morris.
Yeah, real quick, that game against Robert Morris. If I am correct, Troy Rothenbuehler is now the offensive coordinator for the team.
Yeah.
How do you now kind of scout that
Yeah.
and switch up your offense? Because potentially he might know the ins and
Yeah.
outs. How do you go up against
He
him?
does. He knows personnel, better than anyone. Was here 5 years, knows our kids. We got a lot of new faces on defense. We may be doing some different things offensively and defensively. So from a scheme point, we're doing some things differently. But you always, when you're going to get someone that's been around your program, they kind of know your kids. They might know some of the critical things that, where they can make some mistakes. But, otherwise, we're going to prepare like any other football game. And I'm happy that, he had an opportunity at Robert Morris. Very happy for him.